Welcome to Tradie Business School, the podcast for tradies. We're going to teach you how to build a business that works without you. I am joined by the one and only Barry Maglididi. How you doing, mate?
Mate, I am living the dream. It's a sunny day in Bali. I've had my morning surf, my morning coffee, and I'm rocked, rolling, ready to go.
Awesome. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the 6 Ps. And it's kind of funny because when I went to university and studied marketing, we've talked about the 4 Ps of marketing: product, price, place, promotion. And now we're talking about the 6 Ps. And there always seems to be a P when it comes to marketing and business, right?
Yeah, well, let's talk about the 6 Ps, which is something a mentor of mine told me many years ago. And 6 Ps, proper planning prevents piss poor performance. And, you know, it's something that I can certainly relate to in the younger version of me, the younger entrepreneurial version of me, and something that I see so often in clients when they first come to work with us within the Tradie Business School or in one of the Game Changer programs, is often they're so, I guess, busy in the moment, putting out fires, you know, running from problem to problem or job to job. They don't really spend enough time planning, and they're wondering why their business is performing poorly. And yet it's this whole kind of double-edged sword thing. It's like, well, how can I have time to plan when I've just got so much on all the time? But yet the reason they've got so much on all the time and the reason that their business is performing poorly is because they're not spending adequate time planning.
The other saying in relation to the 6 Ps is, I think, from Winston Churchill, who said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Nobody plans to fail. They just simply fail to plan.
Fail to plan.
We got all the metaphors and acronyms.
We can put, there's probably more somewhere. And if you're listening, you've probably heard them before. Maybe you have some. If you do have, let us know, like if you have any other sayings. But I think it comes down to the whole idea of planning and having time to plan, how to effectively plan. And it reminds me also of a bit like meditation in a way, like having time to meditate, do nothing, right? Is, in my mind, sometimes feels like it's not productive. And sometimes, like in our work, in our business, doing the work that makes the money, delivering the goods is effective and good use of time. Stopping that, right, builds a backlog and means that, like, oh, that's not a really good use of time. I'll do it later.
Yeah. I guess I want to start with a question. That is, like, how much of your week do you dedicate to planning? Right? Now, I could imagine, you know, tradies, general contractors, there is probably like, and unless, you know, your business is very poorly performing, I'm imagining, right, that you're spending some amount of time planning your jobs, right? If you're not, they're probably going to shit, or maybe you're just a sole trader that's not being as effective as what you could. But I imagine you're spending some time to planning out your jobs, right? If not, shit, that's like fundamentals 101 of owning a trades or general contractor's business. But the question I've got is, how much time do you actually spend planning the success of your business, right?
What does that look like? What does proper planning look like? Like in the 6 Ps, proper planning prevents piss poor performance. I guess now the logical question is, what is proper planning?
Yeah.
And yes, we need to obviously dedicate time in our week to doing that. Like even if it's 30 minutes. You know, 30 minutes or maybe, I think an hour is actually a really good amount of time to block out at least an hour a week on your business, thinking about what's going on, looking at your business from a bird's eye point of view and looking at your goals and looking at, you know, what's going on. But what is proper planning? How do we define proper?
It's a good point to raise, I guess. You know, like over the last, nearly 10 years now, we've coached thousands of businesses of all shapes and sizes, and certainly a hell of a lot of trades businesses as well. And, you know, within a trades business, a little bit more than a lot of other businesses, there is things that just go to shit, right? You get to site and some other sub-trade the client's ordered hasn't done their job properly, hasn't turned up, or they've put the taps in the wrong place, the power point in the wrong place. Like you generally have more things go wrong than most other businesses, from my opinion, from what I've seen. So that means that more than anything, you need to have the things that you can plan underway. The more that you're able to plan, like from the moment you've gone through and done a check measure of the site, a check measure of the job, and you've ordered your parts, to plan how that job's going to run, because that frees up the time to deal with things that go to shit. But coming back to your question, Michael, like, I guess, what do you perceive proper planning actually is?
Well, proper for me is effective. It's a plan that actually works. It's not just like a wishful thinking plan. It's not a hope plan. It's actually a plan that you feel grounded in. and actually helps direct you and deliver a result. And I also think proper planning is consistent planning.
Yeah, I love what you say there. And what I got was two clear points. Number one is it's outcome focused, right? Like when you're planning for a job, you're planning for the outcome of delivering that kitchen or that, plumbing bed off installation, the landscaping, whatever it is, you're planning for the outcome. The new business, like what are you planning for? Is there a particular revenue target, a profit target, a lifestyle goal that you're looking for? And I guess ultimately in the day, it's effective if you're noticing that every day, every week, every month, you're moving towards achieving that outcome. Right now, some days you might not move as far as others, but there needs to be this constant calibration of like, have I actually moved my business and my lifestyle forwards to achieving the outcome, or have I just tread water? And if you've noticed that there's been too many days or too many weeks in a row where you're just treading water, there's something ineffective in the way that you're planning. You're missing something, or you're not taking on board the feedback and reiterating that into action steps that are changing the course of the way you're moving through business. And the second thing you mentioned too, which is super important, is consistency. Like I often say that, if every single day you can at least take a step towards your outcome, you'll eventually get there. And this is where I think a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, trades, contractors get caught up, is that they underestimate where they think that they should be by now, or they compare themselves to somebody else who on social media perceives they're in a good space, right? And so therefore they sabotage themselves rather than, like, this is where I want to go in my life. This is what I want to have. This is who I want to be. This is what I want to, create for my family. And making sure that every single day, even if some days you've got to crawl because you've been kicked in the nuts or kicked in the face so hard by what life has given you, even if those days you still crawl a half a step towards and you never give up because you're consistent, you'll eventually get there. Like I've been in business for 18 years and I reckon it's really only been the last 12 to 18 months that things have really come together for me and to where they're compounding in such an astronomical rate. It's crazy. But it's taken me like 16 and a half years of getting punched in the face to get here. And I don't think that it has to take you that long because we have steps, we have proven processes to get there. But you know what, Michael, like I put down my success, I put down to where I'm right now to one key thing, and that is consistency. That is consistently showing up, consistently doing the work. And I wished I had a lot of the tools that I now have and that we now give our clients back then. But consistency is number one. Like, are you planning time every single year, month, week, and day to planning how you want your business, how you want your life to go? That's a question. Like, are you? And if the answer is no, you need to be.
I remember when I was in my teens, I did what they call Boys Brigade, which is a bit like Scouts. I did Cub Scouts when I was younger, and then I did Boys Brigade because I grew up in the country and my friends did Boys Brigade, and that's why I joined, because my friends were in there. And in there, we did a lot of expeditions. So, you get the map out, you get the compass, and you'd kind of, plan how we're going to get from A to B and through what terrain and how many kilometers that's going to be, where, you'd actually plan the trip as opposed to going out there in the wilderness and with a backpack and going, okay, I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go and we're fine. And that's just a good recipe for disaster. And same thing in our business. And so we really need to take that time to prepare our expedition or prepare ourselves to know exactly where we're going and have that compass so we know where we're going. And what's really critical, and I think and if I can simplify this even more for you guys, is that a plan is literally a map from A to B. A, where you currently are, and B, where you want to be. And the hardest question often that people fail to answer is, where do you want to be? What do you want? What would you like? What's the outcome that you're seeking? Because you can't create a proper plan without knowing what the result is that you want to specifically achieve. And you notice that question is usually much more towards motivated outcome, like where do I want to be, as opposed to what I don't want. Right? So I'm working to what I do want, and then I can reverse engineer and go, all right, what do I need to implement this quarter to actually have that? So two questions. What do I want? How can I get there?
Yeah. And if you find some people are what we call moving towards motivators, they're motivated by something that feels good. And there's also personality types that are moving away from motivated. They're more motivated moving out of pain or scarcity. So if you are finding it difficult to create that plan of what you would like or what you want to move towards, it's possible that you're moving away from a motivated person. So the question that I'd ask you is, what don't you want? right? Write down a list of all the things that you don't want. And then once you have that list, like ask yourself the question, what's the opposite of that, right? That's how you can start to create a plan of where you want to go. And then it's a matter of starting to move towards that and spending regular time to calibrate on, like ask yourself, set dedicated half an hour every week. It's like, have I moved towards achieving X, Y, Z? And if not, why not? What came up for me? What can I change next week? It's like a system, right? Like a system works because you have a start point and an end point, like how to do the perfect quote, right? And if you follow that step by step, you should get to the outcome of how to do a perfect quote. Now, if something along the way doesn't work, it's a matter of asking yourself the feedback question of going, okay, cool. Like what went wrong in this step-by-step process? Did we miss a step? Is a step not accurate? Has something changed in the process? It's the same with goal setting or same with planning, is that if you're spending this time dedicated every week to go, okay, am I moving towards my goals? Am I moving away from them? And something's not working. It's going, okay, what hasn't worked? And what change must I make next week? It's nothing to get pissed off about or frustrated about. Like I remember earlier in my trades business, I would get so frustrated that it felt like I was never achieving my goals. I was never getting there. But all I was looking at is where I was and where I wanted to go, and noticing the gap in between. I wasn't taking on board the feedback and spending that time regularly to plan for my success, which is why for many years my business performed poorly. We're growing, but we weren't super profitable. I always felt like I was putting out fires all the time. I was having ongoing issues with staff, with tradesmen. Like it was a freaking nightmare, if I'm being completely honest. Whereas now we welcome challenges because we have this in place and we realize that there's no failure, only feedback. So I guess some steps to kind of help leave you with for this is, first of all, like spend some time once a year, like book out once a year. And I actually find doing it at the end of the financial year is more effective than doing it at the start of the calendar year, because I just find that we all have this thing around New Year's resolutions that don't get followed through. Whereas I like to kind of align my planning with the financial year. So it's like, okay, like where do I want to be 12 months from now? Both in, my business, in my personal life, in my health, in my wealth, as a husband, father, mother, wife, whatever that case may be. Write a few things down. And then also calendar out some time monthly. For me personally, I spend 2 days once a year, 2 days alone and 2 days with my GM of my companies doing the planning. First, it starts with me, what do I want? And then I take that into my businesses of how can my businesses create that for me and for my family. I spend a couple of hours a month with my GM and maybe an hour a month checking in on myself. And then weekly, it's an hour. It's an hour I spend with her, going over the numbers, going over the business plans. Are we in a line? Are we not aligned? And if you're a tradie, I recommend that you maybe do a toolbox meeting. You maybe spend 10 minutes every day with your team to check in on, where are we at with the jobs? Are we performing? Are we on schedule? Are we profitable for these things? As you mentioned before, Michael, we could give you the perfect way to plan, and we touch on it in aspects of my book, The Path to Freedom. It's one of those things that's more around allocating the time and putting things in place, taking on board the feedback and refining the exact system that works for you.
Yeah, I guess we can end with progress over perfection in this regard. So don't aim for like the perfect plan. Aim for a plan to make progress on, and that's proper planning. You're actually going to continue to build that muscle and get better every single time and find what works and what doesn't work for you. At the end of the day, the judgment, the effectiveness of your plan will come in the results that you've achieved. And that's often why people hire a coach. Yeah. It's often why you want that accountability and support around you to not only help you create that plan, but help you to actually ensure and keep you accountable, to keep you on track to fulfilling that plan. And that's where a huge return on investment typically comes from coaching. And I said at the Game Changers, we have a variety of different coaching programs available, from Tradie Business School and Opulence and Boardroom for our higher level programs. But we know that this is where the results come from, and why this episode is actually really critical. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance, and often without a coach or personal trainer, you don't have that program and you're just winging it. And stop winging it.
Yeah. So look, if you are serious about growing a great business, maybe you want to stay in your business, but you just want more profitability, more time to spend with your family or do the things that you love, or maybe you are actually wanting to create something far larger that can actually work without you. Either way, we'll put a link below. Connecting with the team. We specialize in helping people build profitable businesses that work without them. We've done it time and time again, both for myself, but also for hundreds of our clients as well. And, there's a huge return on investment for you investing a small amount of money and time into growing a great business, or you can continue doing it yourself. Maybe buy a copy of my book, The Path to Freedom. Yet, this is something we have specialized in. We have a proven process that will return you the ROI in spades, both on time and money, providing that you show up and do the work, which you're already doing it anyway. You're just going to be able to do it faster and more effective as well. So thanks so much for joining. Please take away that proper planning prevents piss poor performance. At least schedule some time into looking into your business, looking into your life, and making sure they're on the right track. And again, if you'd like to connect in with us, we'll put a link below. Have a chat to the team and see how we might be able to help you and your business grow. Michael, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure. See you guys next time.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.